Okay, let's also start talking about the oscillator itself, because that's what actually makes these waveforms audible. So here's basically our little sawtooth, and here is something else, and we want to morph this one into that one. We do. Oh, let's have a look here. You see the position knob, that's the position of the morph. Kind of timing, you see that there's a little indicator where we are. You can also do this here. Yeah, and the oscillator has it does this oscillator unison. It gets a little bit louder. The usual. So, but that's not what I'm gonna show. Okay, so the other thing that Zebra always did was it had oscillator effects, and that's like things that bend the waveform. And let's just dive into it. And there's a couple here. They all know I have to move this up here. Right, so there's a couple of oscillator effects yet. Some are not there yet. Some of them are work in progress, some of them are pretty far, and yeah, whichever. So let's start with sync, for instance. That's like, you know, the usual suspect maybe. And I should put my face somewhere else. Can I do this here? No, yeah, whichever. I just put this here. So sync. Right, and you can switch this view here to the waveform After Effects. And the funny thing is you can set the phase of the sync center. See that it goes from the middle or from the right. So that's sync. And what else do we have? We have a couple of known ones that have always been in Zebra, Scrambler, for instance. Okay, this should be used with something like let's take a sine wave, because it does this thing like FM feedback thing. It's what I always liked, but now in the new version you have transfer, forms transfer mode, and they don't always make a big difference. Depends on the waveform, right? So if you had like a more complex waveform, let's say like this and that, I guess now let's say this one or that one. Yeah, the transfer makes a difference here. And what else do we have? Oh, we have a filter. Let's go back to this one. So and we use the, where's the filter? So low pass filter, yeah. So that's one that's pretty much also in Zebra3 in a way. But now we have a resonance thing. It gets a little bit too quiet, so I have to adjust this. Yeah, I have to work on this to normalize it a little bit. Then we have something that's in many other synthesizers recently, a rephase option. So, and how the rephase option works is that it uses the curve again or the guide curves. So if we had, for instance, let's have something like this, just to a very bright and sometimes we have to press, we have this waveform, and then we want to rephase it. We can use a guide curve. The guide curves are here, and let's take this one and if the curve is like this, it will not rephase at all, right? So when I add a point, so you can do like crazy back and forth things here. Right, and I can show this curve here. So, and because we have 3 morph curves available, right? Let's take the second one is, oh, this is like backwards, right? And the third one, let's do, yeah, just, you know, something completely different, or, you know, maybe a bit rounded, you know, with a little bit of beautify, that kind of stuff, you know. We can crossfade between the 3 guide curves here. So our original waveform is this, and after that's after the first, after this. Right, so we can also crossfade the guide curves that we use for the rephase. Okay, let's see if we can make this really. Oh, I have an idea. Let's go to this one, and we do this, right? So something really crazy, and so we morph between that and then that. And let's have a look at what that listens like, sounds like. And our curve looks like this. Gets all these jiggly things here, create these things there. Maybe that's a little bit too big. Let's have a look at what. Yeah, okay. It's all very, very squarey and PWM-y, but you catch the drift. You can rephase any kind of waveform into any kind of weird other thing, and let's maybe check out what it does to something that's a little bit like a sine wave, you know. And I'm gonna wiggle this. All right, not too bad. Works nicely probably with the DX, which is this phase modulation oscillator effect that you also know from Zebra. Let's have a look. Yeah, and then you can use different transfer curves here. And that's all of them have much difference. I don't know if we need to keep those. Yeah, I'm sure people will find useful things for that. And another thing about the rephase, which is also maybe interesting, is that you're not limited to the guide curves, right? So here these are the guide curves. You can also use the curve itself. So you can rephase this morphing curve with itself if you wanted to, and then the morph knob goes through the morphing of the curve as it occurs anyway. Right, and you need more interesting curves for that, I guess. So let's have a look. We have to look at the waveform that comes out of it. So there's little glitches there. Yeah, so it's not even beta yet, right? So yeah, you can do that, all of that, and then you can combine that with unison, whatever. Let's make it a bit quieter. Yeah, a couple of options there. Yeah, that's the rephase one. And then we have loads of things like, here's a really nice one. It's called Spectral noise. Let's have a look how it works on this waveform. Yeah, I'm gonna make it a little louder. Okay, we need something a little bit more high pitched for this more. Good old sawtooth. Just completely mangles the spectrum of the waveform. And then there's one called Spars, and that one actually thins out the spectrum as we go. And each key press, it's a random overtones are taken out. And that works well with the what's the one that we just heard, the spectral noise. Yeah. And that with a little bit of. so like different, completely new ideas there. Other than that, there's what do we have? The others. I mean, there's this one here is funny. What does it? It animates the phase of the harmonics, and by animating the phase of the harmonics, it makes it slightly dissonant, even though it's basically a wavetable synthesis. There's a slightly detuned harmonics then. This one again works nice with spars. Yeah, so some harmonic or inharmonic goodness. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for this kind of oscillator. We've put in another kind of oscillator that takes the same waveforms, the same oscillator effects, but instead of doing the unison sound, it recreates the waveform with up to 1,000, or I think we're gonna go for 2,000 independent sine oscillators, and that sounds or looks like this. So now this is the spectral oscillator. So we have a sawtooth, and we can say how many sine waves we want. Right, 1,000 you only need for bass sounds. Oh yeah, and they're not phase aligned anymore. Yeah, okay. So, some of these controls are not doing much right at this point of time, but some of them do. And what you can do is because these are independent sine oscillators, you can detune them against each other. And to do so, at the moment, this is set up to do this with the first guide curve. So here, this is the first guide curve. So as long as this guide curve is, let's have a look. Why is it not? Oh, it doesn't. Currently doesn't. For whatever reason, didn't delete these points. Maybe it doesn't have key focus. Okay. So as long as this guide curve is just a flat line, nothing happens. But if we set distortion to max and we insert points, like let's insert one point here, like there, right? So these are the first few overtones. That's the ones that we always hear. Here's the ones that you only hear in the bass note. So, right. And currently it only happens when you press a new key. Have like loads and loads and loads of harmonics coming down here to the fundamental. You can even home in on the fundamental. this is still the sawtooth there, right? It's the spectrum of the sawtooth. If we want to have a different spectrum, like a lot more high content, high pitched harmonics, we make something like this. Or let's just let's go crazy. Yeah, let's do this. And well, and we do which one was that? That's that one. Of course, you can do the same with the guide curve, right? You can go absolutely crazy, yeah. Very sci-fi. Yeah, and while we're at that, why not put in some effects here, like spars. And, or some DX, some crazy stuff. Yeah, so basically it's yeah, we're taking this whole additive thing into a different direction, and more fun maybe than painting your little overtones. You will be able to do that as well. This is not in there yet. You will be able to define a spectrum with a curve, and there's also an oscillator effect that takes a curve and uses it as a formant, as a spectrum, but it's not working that great yet, so that's why I'm not showing it. And there's a couple of more concepts that are still coming, and this is just really a brief overview of what we've been working on. And yeah, what you catch the drift, you can do the metallic stuff, and once there's modulation, everything will be like, you know, all these nice plucky metallic sounds and crispy things, and yeah, and hopefully no more glitches. There were some glitches here. Yeah, okay, they happen. They simply happen. Like this, sometimes you have to first. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. That is it for now. And I have forgotten a lot of things. For instance, I have to show you this one at least this one. So you consider this a waveform that is worthy. You can copy it, and you take a text editor and paste it. It looks like that, and that is actually an extension to our scripting language for Hive. So you will be able to use the curves that are produced in the Spline editor in the scripting language in Hive, and this is also how we copy paste things. So you can do things in Hive that create splines that then you can paste into the Zebra editor back and forth, and with the scripting language, and you can also I would need if I had OmniGraffle, I could show this, but I don't know where this is at the moment. Now let's switch the guide curves off and have this a little bit more tidy. You can copy the waveform as an SVG and drop it into Illustrator or any other vector drawing program. You could even edit the waveform there and copy it back if it copies it as SVG. Or if you have an SVG lying around, you can copy it into the Spline editor and it will do something with it. I don't know what, but it will do something. And so this is going to be all interoperable. And I have a phone call. And I think this is enough. I have to take the phone call.